Welcome back to my channel, Simplified English 101. If you are new to this channel, please remember, like this video, leave a comment. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and ring that good old notification bell so that you can be informed when a new video is posted. In today's video, we are going to be looking at summary writing, and this is part 2 of our summary writing lesson. This video will explain and show you how to use the steps discussed in a previous lesson to write a summary of an extract. Let's begin. The objectives for today's lesson will be 1, to identify the main ideas in a sample passage, to identify other skills used in summary writing, to learn how to combine main ideas and use transitional words when writing your summary, and finally, to write your summary. One of the first things to do when writing a summary is to read the instructions carefully. This is because the instructions will tell you whether you are to summarize the entire extract, a part of the extract, or to look for specific instructions in the extract to summarize. Once that is done, you can now read the extract to gain a better understanding of the overall idea. In a previous video, I discussed all you need to know about summary writing. If you have not yet watched that video, I will leave a link for you in the description box. That video included a definition for summary writing, the required skills needed for summary writing, steps to paraphrase and summarize, among other things. This video will use the information in the previous video to model how to summarize an extract. As mentioned earlier, the first step is to read the instruction carefully. Please note that the suggested time for your summary is 35 minutes. The summary is marked out of 30, and you will always find your summary on the very first section, which is section A of your paper 2. There are many times when the instructions is very specific and it wants you, as I mentioned earlier, to summarize a part of the extract. For example, an instruction might say, summarize the factors that are responsible for the upsurge in tourism all around the world. Another might say, summarize the main arguments put forward by Mrs. Thompson on the defense of television. Understand, please, the original extract speak to the factors that are responsible for the upsurge in tourism, as well as the solutions presented. The second instruction, the extract for that, is a conversation between an interviewer and Mrs. Thompson about television. Note that you're asked to only summarize Mrs. Thompson's response and the factors responsible for the upsurge in tourism. You're not asked to mention the solutions in the first instruction, neither are you asked to give your input or a summary of the interviewer's response. This is because the instruction only wants you to do specific things. The instructions given are crucial and must be read before you begin your summary. So let us examine this instruction. This instruction reads, read the following extract carefully and then write a summary in not more than 120 words and, as far as possible, in your own words. Your summary must be in continuous prose and in a paragraph form. If this limit is exceeded, only the first 120 words of your answer will be read and assessed. For this, you're asked to summarize the entire extract based on the topic. Pay attention to the phrase, not more than 120 words. In doing so, try not to go too far below the word limit. If this happens, you might need to reread and make changes, as chances are you have left out some important information. So a good word limit that you can adhere to is 115 to 120 words. Pay attention also to the phrase, as far as possible in your own words, as this suggests that from time to time, you will be using your own words and different expressions from the original. So don't be alarmed when you use words and phrases from the original. This is expected. However, the summary must be in your own words as possible. Also, pay attention to the expression continuous prose. This means that your summary should have no headings or subheadings and must be written in paragraphs not bulletin points or listings. Now let us move on to a sample summary that we will be using as a model for you today. One way to get additional information about the passage is to look at the bottom of the page. Immediately, we know that the piece is adopted from David Jessup. It is entitled The Bitter Taste of Sugar, so we know right away that the piece is going to be about sugar. We also know when the piece was written, 2006, and it is taken from pages 36 to 37. So when we start reading the extract, we're going to be looking out for information about sugar. It is suggested that since we know that the topic is about sugar, when we start reading the individual paragraphs, we are going to be looking out for the repeated words of sugar. Now, if you glance over the paragraph, you will notice that the word sugar has been mentioned in paragraphs 1 and 2 only once, 5 times in paragraphs 3, and 4 times in paragraphs 4, and in paragraphs 5, it has been indirectly mentioned. The piece is about sugar. We are expecting to see the word sugar used over and over. And of course, we are also expected to be using the word sugar. Once we know that what the topic is about, it makes it easier for us to be able to explain the overall message of the piece, the author's purpose, and the author's intent. Now let us read the extract to see if we can understand what the author's purpose is, as well as the intent, before we start to do our summary. Although some Caribbean states went out of cane production many years ago, for the most part, the industry has flourished and sugar has remained the English-speaking Caribbean's premier crop export, buoyed by high prices and preferential trading agreements, first with the United Kingdom and the European Community. More recently, some sugar industries in the Caribbean have proved unviable as much larger global producers, such as Brazil and Australia, have begun to export and world market prices have declined. In response, in some of the region's economies, newer industries such as tourism have enabled Caribbean economies to diversify. Despite this, sugar still plays a key role. In Jamaica, as many as 200,000 people, about 8% of the Jamaican population of 2.6 million, derive their livelihood directly or indirectly from the sugar industry. Sugarcane is grown in almost every single parish, and nearly half of the land under permanent agricultural crops is in sugarcane. The industry also makes a vital contribution to Jamaica's foreign exchange earnings, bringing in excess of US 100 million each year in foreign exchange. Beyond this, sugar plays a significant role in maintaining rural environment. The planting of cane protects the soil from erosion and creates a habitat in which a wide range of Jamaican fauna is able to flourish. Now, much of this has to change. The decision by Europe to cut its preferential price over a 3-year period as a result of a World Trade Organization ruling has led to industries across the region to review their viability. Some, such as St. Kitts, have decided to move out of the production of raw sugar for export altogether. Others, like Barbados, are looking at adding value to their small industry through marketing of organic and branded specialty sugars. Achieving the economies of scale that this transition requires will be far from easy. It will require all the European support that has been promised and more. It will involve a significant investment in the modernization of the industry, as well as the retraining of some personnel to enable them to migrate to other forms of agriculture or to regions' fast expanding tourism sectors. Of course, you can do a second reading of the extract. Once you've read the extract and you understand the context of the extract, it is now time for us to, before we summarize, to look for the author's purpose and intent. The author's purpose clearly in this extract is to inform us. Right away, we can tell that this piece is an informative piece and it is telling us about the sugar industry in the Caribbean. Remember that there are different purposes why authors write. Authors write to inform, persuade, to entertain, sometimes to give instruction, sometimes to describe, and the list goes on. So the author's purpose is to inform us about sugar in the English-speaking Caribbean countries. What is the author's intention? Remember that the author's intention is always, not just the reason why the author writes, but what they want you to take away, like a message. The author's intention in this piece is to make us cognizant of the shift that exists in the sugar industry. The fact that the Caribbean depended so much on the sugar industry, the shift from one industry to another, the writer claims that this will not be easy. Rather, he wants us to be cognizant of the fact that moving from the sugar industry, which is failing, to the tourism industry or any other industry is not going to be an easy transition. When you understand the author's intention and purpose, you are better able to summarize the extract. Clearly, the rise and fall, the benefits of the sugar industry in the Caribbean, and the future plans are main ideas that we are going to be looking out for in the extract. Let us now examine paragraph 1. We are going to reread paragraph 1 as we go along. Although some Caribbean states went out of cane production many years ago, for the most part, the industry has flourished and sugar has remained the English-speaking Caribbean's premier export crop, buoyed by high prices and preferential trading agreements, first with the United Kingdom and European community. The question therefore now is, after we've read paragraph 1, what do you understand from it? What is it talking about? Remember, we discussed in a previous video the skills and steps required for paraphrasing. When we paraphrase a paragraph or any idea, this paraphrased version is not going to be the main idea. Remember what paraphrasing is and why we do it. We paraphrase so that we can better understand what the paragraph is saying. Paragraph 1 is about the failures that exist in the sugar industry in the English-speaking Caribbean, and despite that, how it has remained the #1 export crop. Now let us look at a paraphrased version of paragraph 1. Notice the underlined version says the industry has flourished and sugar has remained the English-speaking, that's a part of it, Caribbean premier export, that's a part of it. All the parts underlined in green are seen as the main idea for paragraph 1, which means therefore that all other parts highlighted in red are seen as irrelevant details. Remember in a previous video I did highlight to you that there are major details and minor details. The parts underlined in green are seen as major details in this paragraph. They support the entire topic of sugar within the Caribbean. All the parts in red are minor details and do not necessarily add anything to the major detail. Now let us look at a paraphrased version of paragraph 1. The paraphrased version reads, the sugar industry has prospered and remained a dominant export crop in the English-speaking Caribbean, this due to high prices and special trading agreements or arrangements from foreign countries. Now notice the paraphrased version is as long as, if not longer than the original paragraph. Remember, when you paraphrase something, it is usually longer than the original, if not the same length. Remember also that you only paraphrase so that you can get a better understanding of the paragraph, so that you can in turn write the main ideas in your own words. Now that we have the paraphrased version for paragraph 1, what is our main idea? The part in the box highlighted in blue is now the main idea. The sugar industry has remained dominant in the English-speaking Caribbean due to high prices and special treatment from foreign countries. Notice that there have been words replaced. For example, preferential has been replaced with the word special for special treatment. The word flourished has been replaced with the word prospered. The word premier has been replaced with dominant, and this was kept in both the paraphrased version and the summarized version of paragraph 1. So notice please that your vocabulary is important. You need to build on your vocabulary so that you can do well in summary writing. If your vocabulary is weak, you are going to have difficulties. Let us now read paragraphs 2. More recently, Some sugar industries in the Caribbean have proved unviable as much larger global producers, such as Brazil and Australia, have begun to export and world market prices have declined. In response, in some of the region's economies, newer industries such as tourism have enabled Caribbean economies to diversify. Again, we are looking for the main idea. Paragraph 2 is basically talking about the reasons why the industry is not successful. How do we know that? What are the factors that contribute to the industry not being as successful as it should have been? Let us now look for these main ideas. It says that some sugar industries have proven unviable. And remember, I did point out that unviable means unsuccessful or not profitable. Why? It says that because of large global producers. What have large global producers done? They have begun to export and world market prices have declined. Now, these are the reasons why the sugar industry did not do so well in some Caribbean countries, because larger companies started to produce, the world market prices have declined, and so in some Caribbean countries, the sugar was not that successful. It clearly means then that everything else in red that has been marked out is irrelevant. We don't necessarily need to use more recently, because we are talking about the rise and fall of sugar. And of course, we know that there are going to be a transition from then to another point. We also do not need the phrase such as Brazil and Australia, because this is clearly an example of large global producers. And remember, in summary writing, we eliminate examples. Now, the last sentence is irrelevant for the most part, but there is one thing from it that I did not underline, and because I'm going paragraph by paragraph, the word industry such as tourism. You are going to see as we get further on down that there is going to be a mention of tourism, but for right now, it is irrelevant in this particular paragraph. The paraphrase version says, some sugar industries in the Caribbean have been unsuccessful because of larger global producers and the decline in world market prices. This is what I understand from the paragraph that is a main idea. Now, what is the summary of the main idea for this particular paragraph? The summary reads, some sugar industries have become less viable because of price reduction caused by global competitors. Now, let us move on to paragraph 3. Despite this, sugar still plays a key role. In Jamaica, as many as 200,000 people, about 8% of the Jamaican population of 2.6 million, derive their livelihood directly or indirectly from the sugar industry. Sugarcane is grown in almost every single parish, and nearly half of the land under permanent agricultural crops is in sugarcane. The industry also makes a vital contribution to Jamaica's foreign exchange earning, bringing in excess of 100 million each year in foreign exchange. Beyond this, sugar plays a significant role in maintaining rural environment. The planting of cane protects the soil from erosion and creates a habitat in which a wide range of Jamaican fauna is able to flourish. The paragraph is talking about the benefits of the industry in Jamaica. So this is what we're going to be looking out for in the paragraph. 1, it says that they derive their livelihood, suggesting that people depend on sugar for their source of income. It gives employment to people. Then it says that sugar cane is grown in almost every single parish, suggesting again that sugar is important, because if it is grown in every single parish, it means that a lot of persons actually do depend on this as a source of income. It also says that it is a vital contribution to Jamaica's foreign exchange earnings. Again, it shows that there are other benefits to sugar apart from just the agricultural aspect. There are many economic aspects to it. And then finally, it says that sugar plays a significant role in maintaining the rural environment. So there are many benefits that are derived from sugar in Jamaica. This clearly means that all other pieces highlighted in red are to be eliminated. We do not need to put any statistics in the piece. We do not need to put the examples that I just explained to you or highlighted to you, because these are irrelevant details. All they're doing is supporting the main ideas which are already highlighted in green. So let us now look at a paraphrased version. The paraphrased version says, sugar plays a major role in the livelihood of many people in Jamaica. It is their source of income for citizens. It plays a major role in the Jamaican foreign exchange, and it helps to maintain the rural environment. This is the paraphrase version. This is what I understand from it. This is what we get from it, because it did talk about the benefits to Jamaica. Now let us look at a summarized piece for the same paragraph. It says, which is in blue, sugar plays a major role in the Jamaican economy. It helps to maintain the rural environment as well as provide employment for citizens. Now let us go to paragraph 4. Now much of this has to change. The decision by Europe to cut its preferential price over a 3-year period as a result of World Trade Organization ruling has led industries across the region to review their viability. Some, such as St. Kitts, decided to move out of the production of raw sugar for export altogether. Others, like Barbados, are looking at adding value to their small industry through marketing of organic and branded specialty sugar. Paragraph 4 is clearly talking about the reasons or other reasons why the sugar industry have failed in other Caribbean countries and what they have been doing as a result of the failure to, gain some sort of success. The underlined part says that the decision by Europe to cut its preferential price, which is as a result of the WTO, World Trade Organization, it has led many countries across the region to review their viability. It has forced them to reconsider their part in the sugar industry. It has forced them to reconsider, is this really successful for us? As a result of this, some Caribbean countries have decided to move out of sugar production. Others are looking at adding value to their small industry. It clearly means that everything else in red is to be eliminated. Paragraph 4, as I mentioned, is talking about other reasons why the sugar industry has failed. It has failed because of price. We mentioned earlier in paragraph 1 that the prices are too high. So these high prices mentioned in paragraphs 4 is as a result of some other countries like St. Kitts and Barbados, and these countries are forced to reconsider their part in the sugar industry. And in reconsidering their part, some have decided to call it quits and move out, stop producing sugar, while others are continuing to produce other aspects, I should say, of sugar. So maybe molasses and rum and other things that, we can get from the sugar cane. The paraphrased version reads, the decision by the World Trade Organization or by European communities to cut its special rate has caused some industries across the Caribbean to reconsider their ability to survive. As such, some have decided to stop production of sugar while others branched off into other areas of sugar production, right? Now that we have the paraphrase version, let us write our summary of the paragraph. The summarized version of the paragraph says, the decision by the world European market to cut its special price has caused some to stop sugar production, while others have turned to specialization of their product. The last paragraph, it reads, achieving the economies of scale that this transition requires will be far from easy. So right away, we know that this paragraph is going to be talking about the steps that we will need to take in this transition period, which is moving from sugar, as some countries are doing, and branching off into other areas. Remember, in paragraphs 2, I did mention the word tourism came out. Now we're going to see that being repeated in this aspect, and then we're going to tie that in. The paragraph continues to read, it will require all the European support that has been promised and more. It will involve a significant investment in the modernization of the industry as well as the retraining of some personnel to enable them to migrate to other forms of agriculture or to regions fast expanding tourism sector. So you see, paragraphs 2, mention of tourism, ties into the last paragraph, the tourism sector. Clearly, paragraph 5 is telling us that these are the steps that they are now going to have to take in the transition period, which is not going to be easy. Some are going to be transitioning into some aspect of agriculture. It is going to require money. It is going to require new technology and modernization. And some are going to need retraining into the tourism sector, which is other sectors. Now that we know what paragraphs 5 is about, these are the things that we should be looking out for. We should be looking out for the transition period, which will not be easy. This transition is going to require 1, Europe's support, 2, much more than Europe support, which is going to be investment, retraining of some personnel into other forms of agriculture or the tourism sector. The other parts highlighted in red, which are eliminated, they are not relevant ideas to the paragraph, and as such, they have been eliminated. The paraphrased version reads, in order to remain viable while the industry is transitioning will be difficult. This is why it will require the assistance from European countries, their investment, and retraining of some workers for other sectors. The summarized version for the main idea reads, to remain viable, the industry transition will not be easy. This will require assistance from the European community, investments for modernization, and retraining of workers of other sectors. Read the instruction and make sure we understand it. Read the paragraph once to get an idea of the overall context, to understand any unknown words. Read the paragraph a second time to identify the main idea. Once we have done that, which will include the author's intention and purpose, it is now time to read the extract paragraph by paragraph. Identify the main idea based on the author's intention that we have decided and the topic of the piece. Eliminate irrelevant details, and we're going to do the same steps until we are done. Please note that you don't always have to write paraphrased version. This is recommended for students who might have a difficulty writing a summarized version of the paragraph only once. So if you know that you might be struggling writing a paraphrased version of each paragraph and then writing the main idea, the summarized version of the main idea of the paraphrased version that you've done, will work miracles for you. Now, the 5 main points, which are seen in the section on blue, which is my right, should be your right as well. These are the main ideas that have been created from the paraphrase version. The sugar industry has remained the main English-speaking export crop due to high prices and special treatment from foreign countries. 2, some sugar industries have become less viable because of price reduction caused by global competitors. 3, sugar plays a major role in Jamaica's economy. It helps to maintain the rural environment as well as provide employment for citizens. 4, the decision by European market to cut its special price has caused some to stop sugar production, while others have turned to specialization of their product. And 5, to remain viable, while the industry transition will require assistance from the European communities, investments for modernization, and retraining of workers for other sectors. When you are doing your sum, it is marked out of 25. 5 marks is automatically given to you once you list your 5 main ideas at the top of the summary. So this is what I've done. I've listed my 5 main points at the top of my summary. So this is what my 5 main points look like. Now it is time for us to combine our main ideas by looking at what main ideas are similar before we write our summary. If you take a second to look at the different main ideas from each paragraph, you will realize that paragraphs 1 and paragraphs 3 are similar, and paragraphs 2 and paragraphs 4 are similar, and paragraph 5 is a different idea all by itself, which means that we can combine paragraphs 1 and 3, paragraphs 2 and 4, and paragraph 5 by itself, or can be combined with paragraphs 2 and 4. Once you have decided what ideas you are going to be combining based on its similarity in context and idea, then it is now time for you to think about your transitional words and what transitional words you are going to be using. Remember that transitional words are words that are used to improve your writing, as you need to make sure that your ideas, both in sentences and paragraphs, are connected, and that these, when connected, are coherent in thought and structure. Transitional words and phrases represent one way of gaining coherency. Certain words help continue an idea, indicate a shift of, though, or contrast, or sum up a conclusion. Now, this is just an example of some transitional words. There are many other transitional words that can be used. Remember, I did point out that when you are writing your summary, you must write the 5 main ideas at the top. Now take a look at what our summary should look like and or read like. I have created 2 samples for you. Notice please that the 5 main ideas are at the top of the page, which would mean that I would be automatically given my 5 marks out of the 25 for summary. And once my summary is correct, then I should automatically get full marks. Note also that the wording is written at the bottom of the page. My summary, this summary, has 120 words. Notice that I've used my connectives despite this, additionally, among other words. The summary reads, sugar has remained the main export crop within the English-speaking Caribbean, although its production has stopped. This is because of its high prices and special treatment from foreign countries. The sugar industry plays a major role in Jamaica's economy as it helps to maintain the rural environment and provide employment for its citizens. Despite this, the sugar industry have become unsuccessful because of price reduction caused by global competitors. Additionally, the decision by European markets to cut its special price has caused some to stop sugar production, while others have turned to specialization of their product. To remain viable while the industry is transitioning will require assistance from the European community, investments for modernization, and retraining of workers for other sectors. This is a sample of a second summary. It is 117 words. Remember, I did point out to you, if your summary is like 96 words, less than 100 words, 101 words, it means that you have left out some major idea and you need to reread your summary and possibly rewrite it. The second summary reads, the sugar industry has remained dominant in the English-speaking Caribbean due to high prices and trading agreements with foreign countries. This industry also plays a major role in Jamaica's economy as it helps to maintain the rural environment as well as provide employment for citizens. Recently, the sugar industry has been unsuccessful because of new competitors, which has caused a decrease in its special prices. As a result, some Caribbean countries have decided to abandon sugar production, while others have turned to specialization of their products to add value. To remain viable, the sugar industry will require support from the European community, investments in promoting growth of the industry, and retraining of workers in other areas. Please note, each paragraph have been indented. The 5 main ideas are written at the top. The wording is at the bottom. This is how your summary should look. This has brought us now to the end of our video for today. Please like this video, leave a comment. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that good old notification bell so that you can be informed when a new video is posted. Until then, bye.